Hey everyone, Ryan Tonking here from the Strategic Day Trader Room at T3 Live. How's everybody doing? I wanted to do a part 2 video on 2-minute significant pivots, managing on 2-minute significant pivots. I wanted to really kind of focus this video on exits. Okay, so we've all seen these stocks that trend all day, right? We had the SEM today, which go from one corner of the chart to the other, and they give us this nice trend. And what I wanted to cover in this video was really focusing in on where to exit. Okay, so there's a couple concepts that I think that are really important in managing 2-minute significant pivots and in trend trading. And one of those concepts is the exit. Okay, so one, we have the initial stop. Okay, like the CLVS this morning. Okay, so the CLVS I took this morning and stopped. Okay, so we have the initial stop, and then once we get into a trade, we have the management. Okay, so what I'm going to focus on is once we're in a trend that is going in our direction, how we're managing it. Okay, that aspect of the exit. So I don't want to completely ignore the fact that once I get into a position, I have a initial stop to manage my risk, but this video is going to focus mainly on exiting the trend once it's in our favor. Okay, so a couple of things to get out of the way here. We're going to be talking about the BMY, the FTNT, the CLVS. I just used as an example here on the SEM. The only reason why I'm picking these is because these are from the last 3 trading days. Okay, so these are the trades that I took. You can see that the winners, I had 2 really nice winners here, and they're much larger than the losers. Okay, so these are the stocks that I'm going to focus on. The CLVS I took this morning, stopped, didn't work. The SEM I took today worked really nicely. The FTNT was a break-even trade, but that's a pretty good example for this video. And then the BMY is just another example of a trade that worked very nicely with 2-minute significant pivots. Okay, so let's jump into I think we'll start with the SEM here. Okay, so right out of the gates here, ideal exit if you're in a trend. Okay, so as far as location wise, if you're in a stock that's trending, the ideal exit is furthest away from the 20 MA. Okay? So I want to be exiting the farthest away from the 20 MA that I can. All right? Now, I have no idea where that's going to be. Okay? But in a perfect world, what I want to do is let's focus on a downtrend. Okay? So in a perfect world, what I want to do is I want to exit the position I want to buy when the stock is extended from the 20 MA, like down here, and I want to sell when the stock is near the 20 MA. Okay? Now, not every time that the stock is away from the 20 MA is that a good buy, and not every time where it comes to the 20 MA it's a good sell. But as far as the ranges of where the stock is trading, that is the overarching goal here. Okay? So I'm going to try to pull up. No, my exploit isn't working here. Hold on one second here. Give me 1 second. I don't know why this went away. 1 second, sorry. Okay, should be back here. I don't know what happened there for a second. And let me see if I get my cursor here. Yes, okay, we're drawing. All right, sorry about all that. Okay, so here's the trend, right? So we kind of have this range here. And the point that I'm making is when we're at the top of this range, right, that the trend is in, I want to be a seller, okay? And at the bottom, I want to be a buyer, okay? All right, so the trap that I fell into quite often is when I started this is I would trail my position here. If I was short, this is the sell setup that I went short on a 2-minute sell setup. Or I would trail my position here and get stopped out, right? And so what I found was that the novice traders, which I was, would be buying at the 20 MA here, right? The novice traders, this is where they would be buying, okay? And in actuality, this is when the professional traders started selling. All right, so for one of the struggles that I had becoming a trend trader was that when the stock started to pull back, and it looked like, let's go back here, when the stock started to pull back here, in my mind, I'm like, okay, I'm short. If the stock breaks over this base, I better cover my position and protect this winner here, right? And what I was doing was I was actually covering, I was actually buying right at the 20 MA here. All right? When that really was the top. Okay? Let's go to this example. Okay, so stock's in a downtrend here, right? We get this green bar, comes off the lows here, and then all of a sudden we get this break higher. That's when I would normally exit here. All right? And it turns out that this really was probably the best sell setup on this whole chart here. Okay? All right, so as far as exits when we're in the trade, what I want to remember is one of two things. I either want to exit when the stock's really far from the 20 MA, which we can look at when the stock starts to go climactic, okay? Or when my risk reward is I would be giving too much back, okay? So when my risk-reward becomes imbalanced because the stock is trending so much in my direction that I can't reduce my stop, I can't manage my risk by managing 2-minute significant pivots, I need to take the position, okay? So that's one way, when the stock starts to go something like this, right? Well, there's no 2-minute significant pivots to trail here, but I need to do something to reduce my exposure. Okay? All right, so the other example is when the stock actually breaks the trend. All right? And so this is something that I had to really beat into my head, is that just because a stock does something like this doesn't mean that the trend is broken. All right? That's so critical. So critical. All right? Just because the stock, because at one point this was a green bar, just because the stock starts to get a green bar here, and starts to break out, so to speak, doesn't mean that the trend is over, okay? It's really critical. In fact, one of my favorite setups in a downtrend is watching for a breakout. That I'm literally hunting for patterns like this, right? Where we get this downtrend, right? And then all of a sudden we get this pullback, all right? So people that were short or people that were people that are in short, the stock starts to pull back, and then all of a sudden everybody's like, oh, I missed the bottom. Not everybody, but there's a lot of people like, oh, I missed the bottom, okay? And then we start to flatten out here, right? We get this nice base, and people that felt like they missed the bottom here, okay? All of a sudden the stock breaks higher here. All right, now if we look at this picture here, there's even an aspect that I'm like, oh, the trend's over here, right? We're transitioning and we're going higher. And I would probably say that 8 times out of 10, the stock comes right back down and continues lower, okay? And it's these patterns that I'm on the hunt for, Okay, it's those failures that I'm on the hunt for, is the breakout failure in a sell setup. Okay, so not only am I looking to take this sell setup short, but I also need to remember that if I'm in this position short, like let's say I played this sell setup, or let's say I played this sell setup, okay, when this happens, I don't want to be the sucker that's buying here, okay? I have to let this play out. Okay, so let's kind of talk about some of the emotions that go on here. Is one, if you're going to adopt this style of management, is you need to be willing, and I need to be willing, that if my stop is over here, 2-minute significant pivots, that I need to be willing to give all of this back. Which is not a very easy thing to do. Okay? So I need to be willing to give all of this back. If I really believe in this significant pivot here, I need to give this room to navigate through these waters here and continue lower. Okay? Because I don't know how large this is going to be, this shakeout. All right? One thing I do know that is the likelihood of this breaking this significant pivot, then we actually have a change in trend. Okay? We actually have a change in trend. All right? So what I'm here to say is that if you're taking a sell setup, you either want to try to take everything at the lows, which is not my expertise. It's not something that I'm very good at. But you need to, on the initial move, you need to take everything here. Or if you're going to sit through a pullback, don't manage an in-between management. Okay? So when I say in-between management, I mean literally in between the right stop and the lows. Don't manage the position here. This is typically when we get a stage 3, right, which is what this is typically very wild and very choppy trading, okay? And so it's easy to get shaken out of the position. So for me, I just don't do anything. I don't manage the position here. Okay? I allow this to fail and continue lower, right? And come down and make new lows, or I'm willing to give this back to allow the trend to break. All right? Okay, so I think this is a really important concept here, this in-between management. All right, so let's look at a couple examples. All right, so as far as the exit, the rules that I have is if this initial move here, if this move, like let's say I played this sell setup, okay? I reduced my stop to this significant pivot. On any move in my favor, if I can't move, if this right here is 5 Rs or more, okay? 5 Rs or more from my stop. If this move is 5 Rs or more, then I take the whole position. I just trail it, penny by penny. Okay? I take the whole position. So I only want to, at this point, have 5 Rs of exposure here. Okay? If it's not 5 Rs, let's say this is only 3 Rs, then I do nothing. Right? I do nothing. And I just manage 2-minute significant pivots. All right? So what I do is, if this starts to go climactic, so to speak, or if I get a really nice move in my favor and it's up and it's 5 Rs or so from my stop, then I just take the whole position. But if it's not, I allow this to play out. Okay, so let's look at some examples. All right. Okay, so we'll start with this SEM. We'll go to one that was a break-even trade, and then we'll go to the BMY. Okay, so I took the 2-minute sell setup. Now, interesting note about this 2-minute sell setup is it was kind of a sell setup with a breakout failure here. Okay, so we're short. I'm sure a lot of people put their stop over this reversal bar, right? Let's play this out like this. Okay, so we got this inside bar. I'm sure a lot of people put this stop over this bar here. Okay, over this reversal pattern. All right. So all of a sudden we come and we poke above this. Where? Right in the declining 20. Where is this on the trend here? Right? Here's the trend. And we move down. We pull back. What do we want to be here? Well, I don't want to be a buyer in this location. I personally want to be a seller. All right? So what happens here? We get an inside bar, we get a little topping tail here, okay? And then all of a sudden I get short on the sell setup, okay? Now, I was fighting for shares, so I didn't get full size here. I only got 1,200 shares short. I was trying to get 2,000. So I only really got 2/3 of the size, but I played this sell setup and get this nice move here, all right? So just like what we were saying, if you're just looking for the initial move, take it here. Was up 2 Rs, take it here, okay? So be a buyer down here once we get this igniting move, okay? Okay, so we get this sideways base here. Now, it's time for no management. Okay? Believe me, when I was sitting through this, there was a part of me that my emotions was like, oh, you missed the bottom, Ryan. Was up 2 Rs, should have taken the $400 and walked, right? Now we're going to this sideways base, and I'm like, oh, this is breaking the 20 MA here. This doesn't look good. You know, it's going to go higher. All of these thoughts are coming to my mind. But what I'm telling myself is just stick with the trend, Ryan. Just stick with the trend here, okay? So all of a sudden we get this topping tail. At one point, this was a green bar. Everything about this is looking higher, and reversal, okay? So when my emotions start telling me, "Oh, Ryan, you should cover all of that stuff," what I have to remind myself is, one, if I'm at the 20 MA, that's not true. Okay? So we're at the 20 MA right here, rolls over, continues. Okay? So manage 2-minute significant pivot, goes above this candle's high here, right? 1456, and we come into this price action here, okay? We actually did a small breakdown failure here. I don't know if you can see that. We got a wide range bar, and now I'm like, oh man, I missed the bottom again, right? Stops over here, and all of the same emotions, right? Missed the bottom, stuff like that, right? Well, if I covered here, that would be the in-between management. Either let it stop out and break trend, or take it at the bottom at the breakdown failure. Okay? And then the stock ends up continuing lower. And I believe I closed this right in the last 1 minute. Okay? So what I'm here to say is that at this point, did I think that this stock was going to go another 40 cents lower? Right? No, I didn't. But that was the exact time that the pros stepped in and started selling here. Okay? All right, so this is really critical stuff, and this happens every day, right? This happens every day. Okay, so let's look at the what was it? The FTNT? Okay, so FTNT. I believe this was I'm gonna go to the 1 minute chart. I think it was a 2 minute sell setup, but let me go to the 1 minute chart here. Okay, so sell setup, right? Sell setup, we get this breakout failure here, move lower, we get this sell setup right in the 20 MA. I played the sell setup, okay? So there's a couple of things that went on here. One, I played the sell setup, and I only got like 200 shares. Then I got filled the rest. I got filled late, and I was sized to 25 cents, if I remember right. What was the stop? 30. Yeah, so I was sized to 25 cents, and I was a little bit oversized, and this was spready. So this blue line, I covered 200 shares and went to 35 cents, I believe, right? FTNT, so I got filled 200, and then I got filled the other 600, right? So I was 800 shares short, sized to 25 cents, and then I covered 200 to go back to the 600 shares, because that was correct size. So I was a little bit oversized because I got filled late. Okay? So, so cover the 200 size to go, 200 shares to go to correct size, and then all of a sudden we come down into these lows. Now, this trade kind of played some tricks on me, because if I got filled here with the original 800 shares, then this would have been right into 4Rs, and I would have taken this, like I said, because this was 4Rs in the money and then 1R at risk, right? So this from 630 to 625 is $1.25 roughly, right? Or 65, right? Is $1.25. And so this would have been 5Rs from the stop. But I ended up covering these 200 shares, so it really was only up 3Rs, right? So I didn't do anything, okay? I didn't do anything at all. What I did do was, once this broke the trend here, right? And I think the market actually reversed also. Oh, no, that's right. That's right. Okay, so this is a good example. Okay, so what I did here was I trailed this break even. Okay, and I talked about this when I was moderating because I did not do the right thing here. Okay, I trailed this break even. Now, in this case, I would have gotten stopped out with this wide range bar, right? But this was a form of in-between management here. Okay, now I kind of lucked out here because this continued to go higher anyway, but this was a form of in-between management. Okay, where we got this red bar, right? Inside here, and I should have let this play out, okay? But I didn't. I ended up covering it here, okay? So either take it at the lows or let it play out, all right? Okay, so let's look at the BMY. I think that was the last one because the CLVS was a immediate stop this morning. So let me go back to I think this was on the 1 minute chart. So this did a breakout failure on the 1 minute chart. Let me shrink this up a little bit. Okay. All right, so, and this is the one I had an order mishap on. It means I covered too many shares at the lows. And see, I covered too many shares at the lows here and gave $290 back because it popped right away. However, this was a really nice trade. I think this made $1,000 or something. Okay, so initial entry, right? Let's go to the daily chart. Really nice gap down here, right? Gapping under these green bars, I got short right away. Okay, this was mentioned in the strategic day trader room. Twin topping tails, love this pattern, right? Twin topping tails, short right under the topping tails, stop above. Size to $1, so really big stop. Okay. Same thing, right? A nice move lower, bar off the lows. Shouldn't break this, right? Shouldn't break this. We should cover if it breaks this, right? Nope. Just breaks it, and then I immediately get short here, okay? Immediately get short, we retest, and then I add more full size here. So I had really nice size in this. Okay, so I added again. And then we got this really nice drop. So at this point here, because I had 800 shares short, this was up 6Rs from the stop. So I covered it, then I covered too much, and so I ended up giving some back here. And then I ended up playing this sell setup again here, right? Same pattern here, right? Sell setup triggers, immediately retests. And a lot of people are like, oh, this is probably going higher, so I'm going to cover here. Nope, that's the exact time to get short here, okay? And then I think I covered this towards the lows here, okay? So this is another example of these are the times where we need to get short here, right? Even over here, getting short here, right? The initial trade here, and then these are the times to take sell setups, okay? These are the times where we need to be covering here at the lows when the stock is far away from the 20 MA, all right? So what I want to leave you guys with is if you're going to trade trends, all right, it's important for me, it's very critical to be as far as a downtrend, be a seller at the 20 MA and be a buyer far away from the 20 MA, right? And that when it comes and interacts with the 20 MA, don't do anything. I don't do anything because there's so many traps that come here, right? And to be honest with you, those are the locations where I'm actually hunting for traps when the stock continues lower. Okay? So the number one rule for me is if the stock is at the 20 MA and I'm already in the open position, don't do anything unless you're going to add to it, right? Unless you're going to add to it, which I think this was a really good ad. I just wasn't at my computer, but this was really good. This was mentioned in the room too. All right. All right. I hope this is helpful. Let me know if you guys have any questions, and we will be back at it tomorrow. Thanks, everybody.